Everyone wants to be respected, but many people end up losing that respect without even realizing it, due to their everyday habits. Have you ever felt like people ignore you during conversations, don't care about what you say, or don't take you seriously? Maybe the issue isn't with them, but with how you present yourself, communicate, and react when you notice people are leaving you out, talking behind your back, or simply not valuing you. You might have some of these habits without realizing it. Let's talk about behaviors that make others lose respect for you. Habit 1. Showing off confidence is subtle. Insecurity is loud. The more you try to prove you're amazing, the less amazing you seem. Have you noticed that the people who brag the most are often the ones with the least talent? That person who is always talking about how much money they make, or that friend who never stops highlighting their achievements. Deep down, they don't want admiration. They want approval. The irony is that the more they try to prove their worth, the less respect they get. I once met a guy at a business event who wouldn't stop talking about how much he earned and all the influential people he supposedly knew. He talked about expensive trips, luxury watches, but when he needed to show he truly knew what he was talking about, he couldn't. Everyone noticed. The genuinely successful people in the room weren't promoting themselves. They asked questions, listened, and let their natural confidence shine through. The truth is, people respect what you do, not what you say. If you're truly successful, others will notice without you needing to mention it. The moment you start listing your achievements without anyone asking, you've already lost some respect. Want to be admired? Let your actions and presence speak for you. After all, the most influential person in any room isn't the one making the most noise, but the one who doesn't need to. Why do people show off? It usually comes from insecurity. Many people feel the need to prove their worth because they're afraid of not being enough. With social media, this has gotten worse. Life has turned into a never-ending competition to see who has the best display. But when you brag, you're basically asking for approval. And no one respects someone who needs validation from others to feel good. True respect goes to those who trust themselves without needing applause. The most influential people let their actions speak for them. Think of the great leaders and thinkers throughout history. How many of them were constantly promoting themselves? Very few, because those with true power don't need to draw attention to themselves. You might think talking about your accomplishments makes people admire you, but most of the time, the opposite happens. See how it pushes others away. No one likes hearing someone talk about themselves all the time. It turns conversations into boring monologues and makes you seem insecure. True confidence is knowing your worth without needing others' approval. By bragging, you're only showing that you need to be recognized all the time, and that attracts the wrong people. If your only quality is your success, you'll only attract people who care about status, not genuine connections. Plus, it creates unnecessary pressure. The more you talk, the higher the expectations, and if you can't meet them, you'll embarrass yourself when reality doesn't match your words. The art of subtle confidence. If showing off causes people to lose respect for you, what should you do to be respected? Here's what really works. Show, don't tell. If you're good at something, others will notice without you having to announce it. Your work should speak for itself. Let others comment on your achievements. When someone compliments you, it sounds more natural than if you were promoting yourself. Ask more, talk less. The most respected people anywhere are the ones who know how to listen. People admire those who genuinely care about others and make them feel important. Humility is key. The more you grow, the less you need to talk about it. Those who truly matter already know. Want an example? Compare two people, the show-off and the quiet professional. Think of athletes like Michael Jordan. Did he talk all the time about being the best? No, he let his performance speak for itself. Now, compare that with those who constantly say they have potential but never deliver results. The difference is clear. Another example. In the business world, the most respected bosses don't brag about their position all the time. Instead, they focus on the results of what they do and impress others much more than those who are constantly posting about their accomplishments. Those who overdo self-promotion often lose credibility. Showing off isn't just annoying, it can end up working against you. If you want to be respected, let your achievements speak for themselves. People who feel ignored often admire those who are confident without needing to prove anything to others, who don't seek approval and let their work show their worth. The most impactful person in any environment isn't the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who commands attention without needing to. Habit 2. Dressing poorly or not taking care of your image. The way you present yourself matters. If you look sloppy, people will think your life is a mess too. Like it or not, people make judgments about you based on what they see. It's not about wearing expensive clothes or following trends, but about showing respect for yourself and discipline. How you take care of your appearance reflects how you approach other parts of your life. Think about this. If someone shows up to a meeting with wrinkled clothes, messy hair, and worn-out shoes, what will the first impression be? They might be brilliant, but they've already lost credibility before they even speak. Now imagine someone else well-dressed, with clean and neat clothes. Before they even say a word, they already exude authority and respect. I once met a very smart guy, with great ideas and the ability to carry them out, but he simply didn't care about his appearance. He would go to business meetings wearing stained t-shirts and messy hair, thinking his work would speak for him. But people never took him seriously. Over time, opportunities stopped coming his way, while others, less talented but well-presented, kept moving forward. The reality is that no one wants to do business or connect with someone who seems to have their life in disarray. If you don't take care of yourself, why would anyone trust you to take care of anything else? Dressing well and maintaining good hygiene isn't about vanity. It's about respect. Respect for yourself and for those around you. When you present yourself well, people assume you're capable, trustworthy, and disciplined. If not, they draw the opposite conclusions. Want to be taken seriously? Take care of your appearance and align your image with the respect you want from others. Because, like it or not, first impressions make a huge impact. And this isn't just about the professional world. It affects your social life, relationships, and even your self-esteem. Studies show that people who dress well instill more confidence. This confidence opens doors, builds connections, and increases your influence. Think about the people you admire. Whether they are entrepreneurs, athletes, or public figures, most of them care about their image. Even in casual clothes, they maintain a polished look, showing that they value themselves. I myself have underestimated the importance of appearance. I thought skills and personality were enough. But one day I went to a networking event dressed carelessly and realized no one took me seriously. Conversations didn't flow well. The next time, I was better prepared, and the difference was clear. People showed more interest, and I left the event with valuable contacts. Many people say that appearance shouldn't matter. In an ideal world, maybe it wouldn't. But in reality, people are visual. In seconds, they judge your competence, trustworthiness, and status just by what they see. Dressing well doesn't mean wearing expensive brands. It means wearing clean, well-fitted, and appropriate clothes for each situation. It means taking care of hygiene, keeping your nails clean, your breath fresh, and your hair tidy. These small details convey discipline and attention, qualities that make a difference in all areas of life. Want respect? Take care of your image. Your appearance reflects your mindset. If you present yourself well, people will assume your life is in order. And with that, respect, opportunities, and meaningful connections will follow naturally. Habit 3. Sharing too much of your personal life. There's a difference between being honest and unloading your problems on everyone. It's normal to share difficulties with friends or family, but constantly talking about your workplace issues or sharing your personal struggles with people you hardly know can make you seem insecure and unstable. People admire those who face challenges with maturity, not those who turn every conversation into a therapy session. Sharing too much of your life often comes from a need for approval or from wanting others to care. At the moment, it might feel comforting to vent, but it comes at a price. When you constantly share your problems, others may start to see you as emotionally exhausting instead of respecting you. Rather than appearing strong and resilient, you may come across as someone who can't control their emotions. I once worked with a guy who always talked about his life problems. If it wasn't money issues, it was a failed relationship, or even something trivial like a coffee that was wrong. At first, people listened out of politeness, but over time, they started distancing themselves. He didn't realize that complaining all the time was pushing others away. No one wants to be around someone who only brings heavy conversations. In the end, he ended up alone. Not because no one cared, but because everyone was tired of being his shoulder to cry on all the time. People respect those who deal with problems without needing to tell everyone. If you're always talking about your struggles, others will think you can't handle things. But if you stay strong, even in tough times, people will admire your strength. This doesn't mean you have to hide how you feel or never ask for help, but rather know when and with whom to talk. Many people who made history went through very tough times, but they chose to act with dignity and inspire others instead of burdening them. A simple way to avoid this is to think, if no one asked about your problems, maybe it's not the time to talk about them. It's important to know the difference between venting and having a conversation. Venting is just throwing out what you're feeling, while a conversation is an exchange where both sides talk and listen. If you're always talking about your problems without considering whether the other person is in the right mindset for it, you might be overdoing it. Also, if every time you meet someone, the subject is the same, people will eventually pull away. Another important point is knowing who to talk to. Telling a close friend that you've ended a relationship is very different from talking about it with a coworker or someone you barely know. Not everyone needs to know about your life. The more wisely you choose who to share with, the more people will respect you. It shows that you have maturity and understand the limits of each relationship. Not to mention, some people may use what you've shared against you, spreading gossip or even manipulating you. Keeping certain things to yourself can save you from unnecessary stress. The strongest people aren't the ones who never face difficulties, but those who confront their problems, solve them, and move on. If you want respect, show that you can handle your own life. Ask for help when needed, but don't let your struggles be the only topic of your conversations. In the end, people respect those who manage challenges without constantly seeking approval. Instead of complaining, use challenges as opportunities to grow. Work on your resilience, learn to manage your emotions, and focus on finding solutions, not just talking about the problems. People admire those who overcome difficulties, not those who stay stuck in them. When you learn to handle tough moments with balance, you naturally earn more respect and influence in any environment. Habit 4. Being too emotional in arguments. Disagreements are part of life, but how you handle them determines whether people will respect you or see you as weak. If you lose control, shout, cry, or defend yourself too much, you'll only make things worse. Emotional outbursts don't make anyone take you seriously. On the contrary, they make you seem out of control. I once worked with someone who always had a meltdown when people disagreed with her. Instead of solving the issue calmly, she raised her voice, attacked others, and even stormed out of meetings upset. At first, people tried to be patient, but eventually they started avoiding her. The problem wasn't that she was always wrong, but that her lack of emotional control made everyone disregard her opinions. Knowing how to control your emotions is essential for earning respect. People admire those who can stay calm, explain their ideas clearly, and resolve conflicts rationally. If you let your emotions take over, you give others power over you. They'll notice your weakness and might even provoke exaggerated reactions to destabilize you. The truth is, no one respects someone who can't control themselves. If every argument becomes a drama, people will start seeing you as unstable and difficult to deal with. Worse, they'll stop paying attention to what you say. Those who are respected, whether at work or in their personal life, maintain their composure even when upset. It doesn't mean hiding your feelings, but knowing how to express them at the right time. A useful trick to avoid exaggerated reactions is to take a moment before responding. If something frustrates you, take a deep breath, step away for a bit, and analyze the situation. Ask yourself, is it worth fighting over this? Will getting angry solve anything or just make it worse? Most of the time, pausing to think helps avoid regrets later. Another way to handle conflicts better is by focusing on the facts, not the emotions. Instead of saying, "You always treat me badly," try something more objective like, "In the last few meetings, you interrupted me several times. Can we improve our communication?" This avoids accusations and turns the conversation into a real attempt to fix the issue. People respect those who can argue intelligently without letting emotions take over. In relationships, friendships, and at work, emotional control shows strength. If you want to be taken seriously, learn to understand and manage your emotions instead of ignoring them. Those who can stay calm in the midst of chaos always come out on top. Another important point is how you express yourself with your body. You might seem calm when speaking, but if your body shows nervousness, it will be noticed. Avoid crossing your arms, clenching your fists, or rolling your eyes. Instead, make eye contact, speak firmly, and use more open gestures. People pick up on these cues without even thinking, and if you appear confident, they'll assume you're in control, even if inside you're not feeling that way. Remember, emotional control doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but knowing the right time and place to show them. If something makes you angry, vent at a more appropriate moment. Write it down, talk to a trusted friend, or engage in an activity to relieve tension. This prevents emotions from building up and helps you deal with tough situations better in the future. In the end, the calmest person isn't always the most respected. Those who speak with firmness, balance, and confidence earn more respect. Those who learn to control their emotions have more control over their own lives. Habit 5. Giving up easily. Persistence is something everyone admires. If you throw in the towel at the first obstacle, people won't take you seriously. Think about the last time you saw someone quit a goal. Maybe they tried to start a business but gave up after the first few challenges. Or they started a workout routine but after a few weeks returned to their old lifestyle. How did you react? Did you respect that choice or see it as a lack of discipline? The truth is, giving up can become a habit, just like persistence. The more you quit, the easier it becomes. People notice patterns. If you give up on goals, promises, or even friendships when things get tough, others will see you as someone without determination. This makes it easier for them to ignore you or not take you seriously. I remember a friend from college who always had big plans. One month he wanted to start a YouTube channel, but quit after 2 videos because he thought the algorithm wasn't helping. The next month he tried to make money with investments but gave up after losing a small amount. Then he decided to focus on the gym, but dropped it all after a short time, saying he didn't have enough time. People stopped believing in him, not because he lacked desire, but because he never followed through. Over time, he stopped trusting himself too. This is the biggest risk of quitting all the time. You not only lose others' respect, but you also start doubting your own abilities. You get used to seeing quitting as an always available option, and that mindset ends up affecting all areas of your life, including relationships, career, and personal growth. Now, it's important to understand the difference between leaving a situation because it no longer makes sense and quitting just because it's tough. Ending a toxic relationship is a smart decision. Changing a business strategy might be necessary. But giving up just because something requires patience and effort shows weakness, and people notice that. What really earns respect is insisting, even when no one believes in you, even when progress is slow, even when everything seems to be going wrong. The strongest people aren't those who never fail, but those who refuse to stop trying. So, before you give up, ask yourself, what message are you sending to others? More importantly, what message are you sending to yourself? Every time you face discomfort and keep going, you prove to yourself and the world that you are someone reliable. And that kind of person earns respect without having to demand it. Habit 6. Using others for personal gain. Everyone has met someone who only shows up when they need something. Suddenly, this person acts like your best friend when they want a favor, a recommendation, or any type of help. But when you need something, they disappear and don't even respond to your messages. Who hasn't experienced that? And if you're honest, you've probably acted that way at some point. When you use people solely for your own benefit, you're not just losing their trust, but also undervaluing who they are. People aren't stupid. They notice when they're being used. Let's be honest, everyone has had this thought. This person could help me get something, so I'll take advantage of the opportunity. It might seem like a good idea at the time, but every time you do this, you weaken the trust you could build with that person. And what happens when there's no trust? The relationship falls apart quickly. I've been in this position more than once. I saw someone who could help me and tried to convince myself that I'd return the favor later. But deep down, I was just making excuses to justify manipulation. I'd do favors, take shortcuts, and think I was making progress, but in the end, I'd only feel empty. It was like winning a small battle and losing the war. True respect doesn't come from using others as stepping stones to get where you want. It comes from genuine connections, where there's mutual exchange and appreciation. If you want to be respected, start by respecting people for who they are, not just for what they can offer. And that's exactly what happens. You might make some progress at first, but over time people notice when someone is just pretending. Think about it. How many times has someone appeared only because they want something from you? Your influence, your skills, or what you can offer. The worst part is you can even tell when the person is thinking, what can I get from this person? It feels off, right? Forced. And the truth is, when you act this way, others notice. And it's not just about losing their respect. It's what this does to you. You end up becoming someone who lives in this manipulation game, always taking and never giving. And before you know it, you're surrounded by people who just want to take from you, but don't really care about who you are. Let me be clear. If you help someone expecting something in return, you've already started off on the wrong foot. Respect comes from what you give, not what you gain. If your only goal is to benefit, no matter how much you try to hide it, sooner or later, people will notice and pull away. Yes, you might convince a few people at first, but in the end, when you're no longer useful to them, you'll be left behind. And that's a very lonely place to be. I used to believe this is how things worked. I saw successful people acting this way all the time in business, politics, and social groups. It seemed like the normal thing was to use others to gain an advantage. But in reality, this creates a false sense of success. Yes, you might rise for a while, but soon you'll realize that you're surrounded by shallow relationships. In the end, people see who you really are, someone who only takes advantage, and nobody respects that. You know what else? People who use others tend to end up alone, because when you've taken everything you could from someone, there's nothing left that truly connects you. You're left with superficial relationships, and you can't fake respect that doesn't exist. You might get someone to do something for you once, but as soon as they realize your intentions, they'll back off. Some will disappear without a word, others will make it clear. But either way, it shows that you lost something far more valuable than what you thought you had gained. This is where the Stoic perspective comes in. Stoics didn't see relationships as a way to get something. For them, the most important thing was helping others without expecting anything in return. True respect comes from what you give, not from what you take. Those who genuinely support others without hidden motives build stronger and lasting bonds. When you stop seeing people as tools and start valuing them for who they really are, everything changes. People begin to want to be around you. You attract genuine connections, and that makes all the difference. Life teaches us to seek opportunities, favors, and connections, but true respect is not earned by exploiting others. It's built on what you give and how you treat people, even when there's nothing to gain. Using others might give you results in the short term, but in the end, it leaves you with nothing. No real relationships, no trust, and no respect. People aren't naive. They notice when they're being used, and once that happens, they'll never look at you the same way again. If you want to be valued, stop using others. Start contributing, being authentic, and building relationships based on trust, not self-interest. Because in the end, respect isn't demanded, it's earned. And the only way to keep it is by being someone who truly deserves to be respected. Ultimately, it all comes down to how you choose to relate to others. Do you want to be remembered for what you take or for what you give? True respect and the most valuable connections don't come from manipulation, but from authenticity and generosity. When you change your approach and start valuing people for who they are, not for what they can give you, your life transforms. If this content made sense to you, don't forget to like, comment below, and share with someone who needs to hear this message. Your support helps this reflection reach more people.